Well, hi there. Welcome back. Listen, we're gonna just get straight into this because the simple truth is, well, two freaking videos. Back to back, within a month of each other. I'm trying my hardest, folks. I'm trying to get these edited by myself and out to you as fast as possible with at least good quality. But hey, it is what it is. That being said, welcome to the SCP versus 40K fights. Little quick recap. Last episode we had the Scarlet King versus Khorne, and the Scarlet King came out on top with a overwhelming 2-3 and a bombshell of a 2-3. I should say that was just overwhelmingly towards the Scarlet King. No bias here. Seriously, no bias. But with that being said, this fight, if you haven't read the title or saw the thumbnail, is going to be 049 the Plague Doctor versus Mortarion of the Plague Marines, the Primarch himself. Now, let's get into this, shall we? Starting off, we need to talk about the Plague Doctor. I know, but winners go first. So, the Plague Doctor, also known as 049, is pretty much an anomaly to most. He is, by description, a Plague Doctor from medieval times, more or less. He is quite strange because he is trying to find, well, the cure for the pestilence, which a lot of doctors thought they were talking about the Black Plague, but turns out it's something else that we still to this day don't have a freaking clue what is, but hey, it is what it is. Please don't hurt me. Anyways, when it comes down to it, we got to go over his strengths and weaknesses, and, well, his strengths are pretty self-explanatory. He's hyper-intelligent, probably one of the most intelligent in the entire Foundation, when it comes to SCPs at least. He is considerably one of the nicest SCPs, but he kind of has his thing where he lulls you into a false sense of security, and then ends up, well, taking your bones. That's not a joke, that's actually me being dead serious. He does take people's bones on occasion when he makes zombies. But his weaknesses are that he is squishy. He's small in comparison to a lot of other SCPs, and his most famous death touch doesn't really affect, well, entities that have the ability to adapt to survive. I mean, he is strong, he is powerful, but at the same time, he is probably one of the smaller and weaker SCPs. Not in the sense of ability, but in the sense of, well, body. He's not physically strong. He is not, bench pressing, 225 or some shit like that. However, when it comes down to his stats, I would have to give his strength a rough 7 out of 10. He isn't insanely strong, but when it comes down to it, the rest of his abilities kind of make up for him on that. His willpower, on the other hand, is insanely at a 10 out of 10. This guy did whatever it took to cure the pestilence to the point where he'd even go as far to completely and utterly destroy a research facility just to do it. It's insanity with that. Now, trickery. That's a 10 out of 10. That man literally can make zombies out of nothing, and it's insane on the context of what he can do. He is just insanely tricky to put down and also to, well, figure out in that sense. When it comes to minions, his minions are, well, his zombies, the ones that he creates. I will say they are probably one of the toughest SOBs to fight. Honestly, they are, because they're not regular zombies. Shooting them in the head or destroying them half-heartedly won't do it. You actually have to destroy the entire body to the point where, I have to say this, the Fire Eaters were called in multiple times and have actually been considered to be his, well, personal MTF-affiliated place, due to the fact that they have to be there in order to dispose of bodies on a mass scale sometimes. All in all, when it comes down to it, I would say for his minions, I would probably give him a solid 8. They're not indestructible, but they are pretty hard to put down. Now, with that being said, I would have to say for his overview, he isn't perfect. He does make mistakes, and he often sometimes does get tricked. He isn't perfect and he isn't, well, immalleable. He can be hurt. But he does have a problem with certain individuals. So when it comes down to it, I would have to say the Plague Doctor overall is pretty good. Now, moving on. We gotta talk about the big man himself, Mortarion!
Whole team to achieve what we did today. Thank you. Well?
They haven't been back home, sir. We've got every possible location under surveillance.
God damn it, they're right here!
Mortarion is probably one of the weirdest Primarchs due to the fact that he didn't really want to become Chaos. He was kind of forced into it. But, with that being said, he is probably one of the tougher, well, Primarchs before he was turned into a Demon Prince. Afterwards, he even got more buffs. Mortarion is pretty much one of the strongest Primarchs. He even was able to defeat certain and other Primarchs in hand-to-hand combat. He was defeated by Lion in multiple bouts, but the thing is, Lion is kind of almost at the peak. So it's kind of like, okay, I lost to the best swordsman, and that's the only person that can actually beat me. Yeah, that seems like a badass thing to say. When it comes down to his weaknesses, though, I gotta say he has the tendency to wander off in his mind, per se. He basically, after he gained Nurgle's blessings, kind of gained omniscience in a way. It's weird. It's not omniscience. It's more, he can predict the future at multiple intervals to the point where he doesn't know where he is half the time. So 90% of the time, his Plague Marines are often just doing what they want due to the fact that Mortarion isn't here at the moment. Please leave a message at the tone. I will say this, when it comes down to it, there are pretty different ways that Mortarion could be considered. For instance, his strength. Mortarion is getting a 10 out of 10. This man is a Primarch. He is also one of the best Primarchs. He once defeated Leman Russ in an arm wrestling contest just because Leman heard a story that Mortarion was one of the stronger Primarchs. So, yeah, he is pretty strong. When it comes to willpower, I gotta give it a 6. Mortarion isn't wanting to be Chaos, he was forced into it. Also, he kind of has the tendency to, well, clock out once in a while. He's not strong, but he is, powerful when it comes to will, but it's just, he got debuffed and debuffed and debuffed because of certain things, and it just made him more and more weak to it. Trickery. Oh man, this man's getting a 10 out of 10. This man, once before he was a Demon Primarch, literally used weapons that were banned by everybody in the 40k universe. Let me repeat that. He was using weapons banned in the 40k universe. That's insanity at its peak. All in all, it was just why. He also uses, most of his minions, I would say, use some type of virus. So the trickery gets up there. When it comes to minions, we're talking about the Plague Marines, and oh dear God. Yeah, that's a 10 out of 10. Plague Marines are just, they're broken. For those that don't understand, if a Plague Marine is shot or stabbed or blown up or hell, even killed, well, it's hard to kill them in the first place. Secondly, it's going to be hard for them to even deal with it. Thirdly, even if you kill a Plague Marine, you're still going to have to deal with its corpse that releases basically every toxin known to the multiverse, I would say. Well, not multiverse, but you get the gist. It's pretty much just a giant sack of nope. That is nope. Anyways, when it comes down to it, his minions are just insanity. When it comes to Mortarion's overview, though, I'd have to say his greatest strength is the fact that he doesn't have many weaknesses, except for the fact that he oftentimes will black out or clock out for a good amount of minutes. Now, let's get into this. When it comes to the fights, I am going to use the main three, which is outside the warp, inside the warp, and minion v minion with commanders on deck. So, let's begin outside of the warp. Outside of the warp will be an interesting fight. Mortarion actually will have the advantage due to his bigger size and also his more capable fighting skills. However, 049 is one of the few SCPs that actually is nimble and actually able to get a good hold on him and actually defeat him. So, I went back and forth. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I went back and forth in my head on this for so long. Outside of the warp is such a, well, it's so goddamn convoluted and different. I'm going to have to call it a draw and let you guys figure it out in the comment section. Because that's just insanity. I'll let you guys figure it out in the comments. Who do you think would win an outside of the warp? Just straight 1v1, no prep time, off the back, let it rip. I know, it might sound like a cop-out, but honestly, I have had like headaches trying to figure out who would win this fight for so long. This is one of the few times where I can't figure out who would win and lose. This is a 5-on-5. I can't figure it out. 5 and 5 is just 5 for 049 and 5 for Mortarion, because I can't figure it out. So yeah, list in the comments what you think. Now, inside the warp, that's a different fucking story. Inside the warp, I have to say that Mortarion would probably come out on top, due to the fact that he's going to get as much Nurgle blessings as physically possible. Even though that he kind of clocks out for a bit, his body does go on autopilot. And 049 is not going to be able to do anything. I know that last episode I used the Scarlet King as an example that if he's in there, he can get power. The thing is, Nurgle's wife is basically what 049 would probably pray to. So, yeah, it comes down to the fact that I don't think that 049 is going to win this fight, no matter how hard he tries. Due to the fact that, well, Nurgle is Nurgle, and Mortarion's Mortarion, and that is just not going to be fun for anyone. So yeah, I'm going to have to give it to Mortarion on this one. For minions, it is 6-4 049. I know, it's kind of a cop-out, but you have to understand that it's basically just, well, 049 zombies can actually infect other corpses with the fluid that they were injected with, and yeah, imagine a Plague Marine zombie controlled by 049. Can you imagine that? Now, with that being said, I will say that this would be a very close fight, because if Mortarion's able to get certain weaponry out, he could win, but at the same time, it would take too long, it would be not easy to get, and half the time, it would not be able to. So yeah, I'm going to have to say Mortarion, you lost this round, my friend. So yeah, that's pretty much the fight. And I know what you're about to say. Yeah, this is kind of a cop-out, because the simple truth is, it's just one of those things. Honestly, it was just a fight that was way too close to call for me, and I'd rather have you guys tell me if you think 049 would win or Mortarion would win. It's just one of those tales. But with that being said, thank you so much for watching. If you could leave a like and a subscribe, that would be much appreciated. And if you also want to leave a comment in the comment section about who you want to see versus next, I'll get around to, thinking about video ideas, because, well, I have one in mind, and we're talking about the 2 happy boys versus 2 angry boys, and, well, a hard-to-kill reptile and a man who literally is too angry to die versus 2 of the nicest SOBs you'll ever meet. I wonder who's going to win that fight. Again, thank you so much for watching. And always, remember, for the Empire!